What happened?
I'm not entirely sure, actually.
Yeah, so the owner just brought him in and...
Well, yeah, they rang up and they said they'll just bring him up, but they didn't actually say
They
anything.
didn't say what was wrong with him. Pretty pale, isn't he?
Yep.
Sweetheart. As soon as you see white gums in a dog, you know it's an emergency. She's been bleeding in her gums, so any slight bump, she could bleed. She's really in quite a critical state. She's just been rushed out the back. We really don't know what's going on. The nurse is out there talking to the owners now, trying to find out some details. In the meantime, just giving her some oxygen to try and support her. I just need to get a history.
She had surgery about 3 weeks ago she had a blocked anal gland.
Yep.
They were able to empty one of them out. We'd noticed she had a few bleeds on her belly, so we took her back up to the vet on Saturday morning. She had a huge vomit yesterday, and she really hasn't had anything to eat or drink since then.
So at this stage, what I'd like to do is take some blood and work out exactly what her blood count is doing. And if it is below a certain percentage, then she's going to need a blood transfusion. Is that not a big vein?
When they did a full blood count,
We're low.
we're very low.
Okay. Yeah, she's only got a platelet count of 4 here. It's not going to be very useful, is it? If she's got a low platelet count, she's not going to be able to clot her blood. See, she's got bruising in her ears. So it's possible that the antibiotics she was given after the operation have triggered an immune reaction, which is basically attacking her platelets and causing her to bleed internally. We really are not able to stop the bleeding right now, but we can give her a blood transfusion to support her in the meantime. Maybe you just lie down. I'm going to make you feel better. Okay. You're pretty flat, aren't you? Hey? Her immune system has gone into overdrive. It's breaking down her platelets and causing her to hemorrhage. Right now, we don't know the exact cause, but she needs a transfusion if she's going to make it through the night. I need your dog's services. I'd like to give her a whole blood transfusion, so if I could use your dog's services.
Oh, he's a good boy. He's one of our vet's dogs. Justin's had him for about 4 years now, maybe a bit less. And he's just such a good boy.
Sorry, mate. Can't go home yet. Got some more work for you to do. Come on. Yeah, Milo comes in with me every day, and sometimes he gets called upon to donate if the need arises for the right patient. Sometimes we've got enough blood on hand, so we don't need to collect blood from him, but sometimes he does need to donate to save another dog's life. Saved probably about a dozen dogs' lives through his donations.
Just given her pre-medication, so we'll give it about 15 minutes to take effect, and then we're just going to collect the blood from Milo in the meantime. So hopefully within the next half hour to 45 minutes we'll start her transfusion.
Okay. And how long will that take to run?
Usually it takes a couple of hours, so we start off running it in fairly slowly while we're monitoring them in case of a reaction to the product, and then once we see that they're not reacting, we can run it in a little bit quicker, so a couple of hours.
She's a great little dog, friendly little thing. Hasn't got a bad bone in the body. It's a sad thing, part of your family.
Fight this.
I'll talk to you later. You're going to be a very good boy for us.
Good boy, mate.
Oh,
He's such a big boy, isn't he?
how big? Dogs have 8 blood groups, but we don't actually have to match their blood types. Now, because of the way their antibodies work, they won't reject the blood on a first transfusion. You're going to be a big helper for Motley. So in Motley's case, she's never had blood before. We can get the procedure started straight away. Really lucky that Milo was actually here when Motley arrived.
Yeah.
Yes, poor Milo's getting that in his neck. Thank you.
Oh, you big brave person, you. Yeesh.
He donates quite regularly. Obviously, he's a nice big dog, so he's quite a good candidate for donation.
Getting there. Nice, very good. We're going to give Motley set volume of blood to try and increase his red cell count back into the normal limits. Milo's so much bigger than Motley, so it's not actually going to really affect Milo that much. He'll get a nice big meal,
Big bowl of food.
big bowl of chicken or something yummy at the end, so he probably will forget about it really quick. Thank you.
Oh, you big brave person, you. Yush.
Big brave boy.
She's a really sick dog. It's pretty much touch and go now. Hey, sweetheart. Blood count's only 12%. The lower end of normal's 37% for a dog, so it is severely decreased. This must be pretty scary for you, sweetheart, hey? You've had better days. Hey, Milo's gonna make you feel better. It's been really handy having Milo here tonight. He's basically saving Motley's life, so if we hadn't been able to collect the blood from him and give it straight to Motley, she may not have survived.
After he donates and gets a big bowl of food. It's the best part about donating, I think.
Hey, Motley.
Hey, Mr.
Let's
Moon.
see your gums. Oh, they're looking slightly pinker, I
They are
think.
looking a bit pinker.
Are you feeling a bit better now, mate?
It definitely looks bright. Like she's more alert, looking around and aware of like
Yeah,
us
aware of
moving
what's
around her
going
and
on.
stuff. So, oh, little girl. She's coping well with the transfusion.
Yeah, she
Hasn't
hasn't
had any
reacted,
reaction
which
at
is
all.
really good. So
No, she's
I
really
think we
good.
can cut the checks back to every 20 minutes and
Yep.
then down to every half an hour, even up to an hour if she's
Yep.
doing well. And
Yeah.
and then let's hope for a big improvement in her by
exactly.
the morning.
Good Motley.
Motley! Hi, sweetheart. You're looking a bit happier this morning, hey? You're feeling better with some more red cells, hey? Motley was a very sick little dog last night, and without Milo's blood, I don't think she'd be here this morning. I don't know if he realises what he's done, but he's a bit of a hero in our eyes. I'm going to try and find out why this is happening. Hmm? Right, let's get you an ultrasound. She's looking a lot brighter today. She can stand. She wasn't doing that last night, and that's definitely going to be from having some extra red cells on board after the transfusion. But now we're going to clip up her abdomen and take her in for an ultrasound and try and see if there's anything underlying which may have caused this condition.
Quite a large amount of fluid in her abdomen, which is concerning me as to whether that's blood or whether she's in congestive heart failure, both left and right sided.
The ultrasound reveals chronic heart disease.
She's got a lot of problems. She's got severe heart disease and I'm concerned she's now in heart failure.
It's just so unfortunate because she was so... Owners thought that she's been a well dog for most of her life and hasn't really had any problems. So
Yeah, and this has all
it's
come
gonna
on very suddenly.
Yeah, it's going to be a big shock to them.
Sadly, shortly after, Motley lost her battle to survive.
Ready, Rufus? Gentleman, that's his name, Gentleman Rufus on the pedigree, and that's what he is, a true gentleman. And ready, set, go, run! Very, very, very docile, very unintrusive personality, super clever. Good boy. With your stick, you can take it. Snores really loudly. He's like a person, really. I treat him like a person as well. Ready, Rufus? He's a mad swimmer. Get a stick. And he has a tendency to dive. Good boy. Come. Oh, woo! And amazing dog, yeah. He's unfortunately a bit sick at the moment. He's had a high fever. He's very weak, very, very weak. And he's off balance. We assume had a middle ear infection, and which probably now is meningitis, a suspicion of meningitis. We'll see what the vets have to say. Fingers crossed. You ready?
Hello. How are you?
today? Here with Rufus?
Rufus here. Which one's Rufus? Oh, hello.
That's Rufus.
Okay, we'll just pop him on the scales and see how much he weighs.
Yeah. Let's go on the scales. Okay. That's it. Last foot. He was 78 kilos. He lost around 10 kilos within the last week. It's a lot of weight loss. He hasn't been eating at all almost. So yeah, that is of concern. So normally around the 90 kilo mark.
How are you going? I'm Chris.
Evo.
Evo, how are you? You filled the room.
I certainly have.
Rufus is not a big dog, he's massive. He is enormous, and it's difficult fitting such a big dog in a room, let alone two of them. And so when I saw the fact there were two there, I knew it was going to be a hot and a very sweaty day. You better come straight through before you try and squeeze another dog in here. All right,
guys. This is the patient.
This is Rufus.
This is Rufus.
It's good to actually have a dog my size, mate. This is a welcome change.
It's a dog, isn't it?
In a way, having a bigger dog like that can sometimes make it easier because everything that you're looking for in terms of clinical signs and any changes in their body are dramatic. They're there and they're easy to see. All right, and what's wrong with Rufus?
Rufus, I think, had a middle ear infection, which is now a suspicion of a meningitis, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I've had him on human antibiotics for the last week, on Iblix.
Yeah.
I anticipated a bit more of a response.
Yeah.
He hasn't responded at all. His symptoms are he's very unsteady on his feet, like very uncoordinated, very unbalanced. Yeah. See, it's just fell against the wall.
Yeah.
For 2 days or so, he couldn't lift his head at all. Like he was very, very, very uncoordinated and very unsteady on his feet. Still now, and when he tries to shake his head, he almost falls over.
Okay. Now, Evo, normally I get the dogs up on the table. This is going to be an almighty challenge. Now, can you give me a hand? Because it'd be great to get him up there, actually.
Yep. Come on, Rufus. Up here. Come on, Rufus. Up here. Come on. Rufus. Rufus. Come up here.
You ready?
Come on. You can do that.
We'll support your weight, mate. That doesn't help. That does not help the situation. I appreciate your interest. But unfortunately, right now, that's not exactly what we require. You hear a lot of stories of vets doing their backs.
Yeah. 1, 2.
And that's why. That dog is heavy. I mean, you saw the two of us straining to pick him up. Any bigger, and there's no way, A, would he fit on the table, but B, could we keep him on there? He's just massive. I've never seen a dog take up the entire table before, but I just hope it's reinforced. That's fine. What ear has he been most affected in? You always regret doing that once you've done it. But it does give you a lot of information about everyone's sore. It's hard to tell when Great Danes look depressed because those droopy faces, it can be misleading. What I'm looking for here is any abnormal eye flickering. If that infection's moved from the outer ear through the eardrum and actually into the inner ear, then we can get a variety of neurological signs where the eyes will flicker, they'll have difficulty balancing. And if you can imagine when you go on a ride at a theme park, you're spinning around. When you get off it, the world's spinning. Right now for Rufus, his world's spinning, yet he hasn't been on any ride. And that's why when he stands there, he feels as though he's about to trip over.
One of the tests for meningitis is, and this looks very strange, is to actually do that. And because meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges, which is the layer of cells that wraps the brain up, doing that hurts like hell. And for him to be able to put up with that, despite it being quite a crude test, is telling me that he doesn't have meningitis. This can develop into meningitis though, make no mistake, that can happen. But we're not there yet, and my goal right now is to prevent that from happening.
Trying a whole variety of foods that are sort of normally his favorites, and he's not having it.
Yeah. That's actually quite significant, what we've got there. I mean, that saliva should be very, very liquid, but you can see it's stringy, it's actually very dry saliva. It seems strange, but you can actually get a significant amount of information out of something as simple as that. I mean, that's saliva from a dehydrated sick dog. And it's, I think it's been with me long enough, so. You were saying, you're not often enough to do this, but you were saying that he's been panting a lot more?
Yep.
Okay, it's probably worth actually checking his temperature.
Okay.
Just to see if he does have a fever. Often if they do have an ear infection, that can actually become serious enough to develop a fever.
Yep.
You're a big boy, aren't you? You are massive.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm talking about his height, Evo. Okay, let's make that very clear. Very clear. But he is massive, if you don't mind me saying so. As a proud father, I'm sure you don't mind me saying that. Anyway, his temperature's okay, which is good news.
Stay on the table.
Now, you're probably wondering why these haven't worked.
Yep.
Human antibiotics are a big no-no for two main reasons. First of all, the dog could be allergic to them and have an allergic reaction that could even kill it. So in trying to help it, you could actually do quite the opposite. But secondly, the dose of human antibiotics, how do you know how much is the right amount? Because what a human needs is often very different to what an animal needs. This one works superficially, so it's just not going to have any effect there. Plus this one doesn't so much kill the bacteria, but more stops them from multiplying. So what we need here is something a bit more aggressive. What I do need to do, Evo, is actually have a look at that ear. So if you can just hold him, hold him there. He's bigger than I am, so he decides where I stand. This might hurt a little bit, so just be a little bit careful. Okay, so all we've got is a very, very inflamed and red ear canal. And the deeper we go, the narrower the ear canal becomes. I've got some of that dark wax that you were talking about. Now that waxy build-up is a sign of infection. That's usually a yeast infection. And when we've got yeast, we often have bacteria as well. And once they multiply, they almost form an army and they start marching actually down the ear canal. And what they've done with Rufus here is actually march right into his eardrum and even past that to cause the infection and the signs that we're seeing where he's off balance and having all sorts of problems. Looking at ear, it's a real mess. The ear canal should be quite open. I should be able to get that probe right down there and have a look right down to his eardrum. But everything was closed in and very messy and very angry too. It was red, it was inflamed. We've got a lot of black wax in there, and black wax worries me because it's a sign of infection. Okay, all right. So I'll put this onto a slide, and we'll put it under the microscope. Oh, gee. That is about as bad as you see. There are just millions upon millions of bacteria all swimming around that slide, and if there are that many on that slide, then in Rufus's ear there must be billions, and it's a big ear. So there are a lot of bugs in there. If he leaves it any longer, then those bacteria can work their way even further into his skull. If they hit the brain, you've got serious problems with diseases like meningitis that can kill him. Okay. Now, looking at that slide, there's just an absolute sea of bacteria. There's a few yeast there as well. We need to get this guy into some antibiotics very quickly. And also, I wouldn't mind giving him an anti-inflammatory injection to try and reduce that inflammation and try and reduce the clinical signs that he's showing as well.
Absolutely. Anything to get him better.
Yeah. All right. So there are 2 injections. That's an antibiotic injection, which is going to go in there and kill those bugs that are causing that inflammation and irritation to his ear. And that's an anti-inflammatory. It's going to make him feel better, should get him eating again, and generally get him back to the way we know and love him.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Started with the antibiotic. He doesn't flinch, does he?
No, he's amazing. Good boy. It's going to make you better. You're going to be so much better. Yes, it is. It's going to make you much better. Yes, it is. It's going to make you so much better.
Okay. All right, bud.
Done.
Now, they're going to work for a day?
Yep. For a day.
For a day. And then once that's finished working, then you get him on the tablets.
Thank you very much.
It's okay.
Come on, let's go. It's excellent news. Yep. I'm very, very relieved. Go home, start the medication, and hopefully we should see improvement within the next 48 hours. So it's great news.
Come on, man. Come on, Harry. This Harry, he's got a bell stuck on his beak.
How long has he had it on there for?
It's been about an hour. Hey, lad.
It's hard not to get lost in the slightly comical aspect of this whole thing, but it's very serious as well. Each time Harry bites down, that bell gets pushed further and further onto the beak. If it goes so far, it cracks the beak. It's how it eats. It's how it survives. No beak, Harry has no future.
So you've been trying to get it off?
We tried at home, me and my other half, but to no avail.
Okay.
Hey, lad.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, come on.
Harry, is this going to work? No?
He doesn't like being held.
Harry thinks he's carrying all the aces in this room because he can fly. But he's forgetting one thing. I'm 6'5". There's no part of this room I can't reach.
I think it was in his beak thing.
The more Harry flies around, the more stress he puts on his whole system, and the more difficult it becomes for me. If we're going to get that bell off, it has to be quick, otherwise stress can kill Harry. All right, so I'm going to have to find a way here of basically catching him with my hands, but securing that beak, because that beak is quite powerful, even though it's got the bell on it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know about it when it gets you. All right, and each time he actually bites down, he's pushing that bell further and further onto that lower beak. So we've got to limit how much biting he does.
Right.
How did he end up with it on his beak?
He likes the 2 beads, so we're getting like mixed bags of beads, and I think the bell was in there. I just want to get it off him.
No, sure, don't worry, that's my goal as well. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, I think, that's all. The issue is going to be the fact that he doesn't like me handling him. And does he like you handling or holding him?
No.
Okay.
They'll sit like this for hours, but...
Yeah. All right.
Harry doesn't like being held. How do you get a bell off a beak from a bird that doesn't like being touched? That's a challenge. I want to see if I can just grab him. Okay. So
would it be better if my back's to you, so he's looking at me?
yeah, it might be.
No, you know, mate, don't.
You're a good flyer.
You know. Come on. There you go. There you go. That's it. No. He knows. Come here. Come on, I know you're getting upset. You're getting upset, aren't you?
Birds are incredibly fragile creatures. Their circulatory system can essentially just explode with stress. Essentially, if you push enough of Harry's buttons and he becomes stressed enough, his whole circulatory system crashes and it'll kill him.
It's wedged on the top of that lower beak there. Okay. So we're going to need some pliers to separate the prongs there. Now, I might just let him rest there. The biggest thing with birds is stress, so I'm just going to keep the handling to about 30 seconds a minute each time. All right, and if we're not successful first go, we'll let him go, let him rest, we do it again. Because the more I hold him, the more I constrict his chest, the harder he finds it to breathe. And you can see he's already panting up a little bit there too. So we don't want to get him too stressed here.
The important thing here is preparation. We've got to have all the equipment and a plan about how we're going to get this bell off. There we go. Alright, it's action time. Okay. Hey Harry, Uncle Chris is here.
Okay, so he's got to get his position there. So if you have his hands, you can see you can get him a lot more relaxed.
The whole way through this, I'm looking at Harry and going, geez, he's panting, he looks stressed. Is he going to handle this whole situation? Then I look at Dave. He's doing the same thing.
The key here is just keeping his chest nice and open so he can breathe, but just secure the rest of his body here. So I'm just going to start by trying to lift up these little bears here on the bell.
It's important to remember that, sure, the bell is doing the beak a lot of damage here, but I can't do more damage by getting it off. I've got to be very gentle, but at the same time precise and quick.
They're quite firmly dug into his beak though.
The instinct for a parrot is that when they crack something with their beak, it's to be eaten. So whatever comes off the beak should go the whole way down. I can't forget that. The moment that bell becomes free, I've got to grab it and pull it out of his mouth. Let go, Harry swallows it, and that's a medical emergency. No, Harry, don't swallow, don't swallow. The moment that bell came free, I was so relieved, but when he went to swallow it, very tense. Reached for it, grabbed it before he had a chance, and then didn't let go. Could not let go.
Hey, let it go, Harry.
Oh, good boy.
They're just going to swallow there for a second.
Excuse me.
That's alright. That was really firmly attached though.
He's nothing.
He is. Okay, he should have got his breath back by now, so we might grab him again.
$6'5", Harry. $6'5", it's hard to get over the top. Still gone around the side. So he's just got those little indentations on the side, that's where it was attacked. Now internally, he's got a little bit of cracking on the inside of his beak, but there's no damage to his tongue or the soft tissue inside the mouth. The damage to his beak looks to be superficial, so it's not extending the whole way through. It hasn't caused any cracking down the beak, which is really important because they can actually break their beak and shatter it and fracture it right to the base. If that happens, it can be a problem for life. But it looks just to be the top part of the beak that's actually got the damage to it, and that'll basically grow out like a fingernail does. And he'll wear that down and it'll become smooth once again. But the important structures of the beak are the base and the soft tissues inside the mouth, and he's somehow managed to keep them intact.
I'm grateful, really, really grateful, thank you. And so is Harry. There you go, pal. There you go, mate. We'll get you home now. Hold on. Hold on.
I'm not going to lie, I did sense some tension between me and Harry that really was there from the outset. I consider myself a lover of all animals. Harry's not a lover of all vets. Seems to be hanging at the back of the cage there for some strange reason.
I think if he could talk now, he'd probably be swearing, but when you can't.
Wearing anyone in particular, do you think?
Definitely gentleman dressed in blue. Cold Chris.
If you guys loved that video, great. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel below. That way. That way. Yeah.